Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today's video I'm going to show you what I feed my Seramas. That's from their everyday food to treats, vitamins and some water supplements. I have been wanting to do this video for a while, but I just haven't had the time. I do apologise to the people who've been asking me. Now, I'm not sponsored by anything I use in this video. I just use what I find works for me. I will put a list at the end of the video, just so you can have a look and write it down if you wish. Now, as my everyday food, I use Garvo Layers Mash, number 730. I buy a 20 kilo bag, which lasts me about 2 months. That's obviously depending on the season and how many birds I have. I've been using it for about 8 years now, and it works well for me. It contains maize, wheat, toasted soya, limestone, rapeseed, alfalfa meal, shell, grit. Garvo do different foods for your chickens. They do rooster food, fancy breeder, but I stick to the original Layers Mash. But before Christmas I thought I would give them a treat, and I bought Layers Mash with herbs. That's number 7309. It's the same as Layers Mash, but it's got added peas, nettle herb, plantain leaves and dandelion herbs. There's not much greenery around at this time of year, so I thought they quite like it. Now, I'll just show you the food. It's in here. So this is it. So you can see the peas, little bits of corn. Now, this one is about £6 dearer than the Layers Mash, but like I say, as there's a shortage of greenery in the garden, I thought it would be quite good for them. A normal bag of Layers Mash cost me about £22. That's for postage as well. And the Layers Mash with herbs, that's quite a bit more expensive. It's £29 including delivery. I could shop around, see if it's cheaper elsewhere, but I tend to forget to order my food until I've only got a tiny bit left. And the company I order from, they're really good, and they pretty much get it me and give it to me the next day, get it to me delivered the next day. So yes, that's what I feed. Now I'll just show you the dishes and how I feed it. Now I have two groups of Seramas. I have Albert's group with 3 in it. So that's Albert and his 2 females. Then I have the larger group, which is 11 birds, and that's Bruno and his 10 females. Now this larger yellow feeder is for the large group, and this small red feeder is for Albert and his 2 ladies. Now, because it's such a large group on Bruno's side, and some of the females at the bottom of the pecking order do get picked on a bit, I put extra dishes around the run so they make sure they get food. Now these 3 hang on the branches, and these 2, one goes in the green coop and one goes on the floor. I'll show you that in a minute. Now these already have food in them, obviously. I use this little cup here, and in the yellow feeder I put 2 cups, and in the red feeder I put 2.5 cups. And then in these dishes here, I'll show you. One goes in one flat dish. This large feeder has 2 cups in it. In the pink dish I put just under half, and then the rest goes in this little green dish here. And then I just put half a cup in there. And that's it. So we have 2 in the big one for Bruno's quick group, 1 in there, just under half in there, 2 in there, half in there, and a little bit in there. That one is actually for Albert and his ladies. So all in all, for 14 birds, I use, just a minute, the chickens are squabbling. Sorry, I'm back now. So all in all, I use about 9 cups a day. Now, in the evening, if there's any left over, I will put it all in one dish, one of these large flat dishes, and I will save it till the next day and put it out instead of one of these flat dishes. And I normally stick to one dish, which is one of the white dishes, so I know that I can chuck that away the next evening if it's still in the dish. It's normally all gone, so I don't have that problem really. Occasionally it's left. Okay, so there's not much wastage. I use the leftover food for the next day. Okay, I'll show you where the dishes go. So the yellow dish hangs on this hook. Gemma's escaped. This larger cup hangs on here, like that. Okay, Misty. The smaller cup goes on here. Like that. And these dishes, that dish goes in there, and this dish just pops on the floor. And then Albert has this little green dish. On this branch here. Like that. And his main dish goes on the floor. For some reason, everyone's inside still. Now the amount of food that I feed will fluctuate throughout the year. It's winter now, so they are eating quite a bit more food than they do in the summer. That's to keep warm and keep their fat up. In the summer they will eat less until they get chicks, and then they still have the layers mash, but I also introduce a chick food as well. There is a video that I've done on that if you want to take a look. So yeah, so it will fluctuate throughout the year. Now I fill this tub up and keep this tub in here. That's how I store my layers mash. You will see other tubs, most of them are empty there for when I'm got chicks, and they are for treats, scatter mix. But my layers mash I keep in there and I fill that up, but I keep my main 20 kilo bag, and these are really good for storing food. I'll show you. I keep my layers mash in one of these, a big blue food grade tubs, and then they have these clamp lids on so nothing can get in. They're watertight, they're really good. I do recommend them if you're storing your food outside or even inside. They're vermin proof as well. So yeah, that's where I store my, it's got layers mash in, that's got wild bird seed in, and that's got some other wild bird seed in. So that's how I store it. Now for the treats and scatter. For the scatter I use a brand called Basale Lager. I think I've said that right. Basale Lager quail and chicks grain. Now it's a mixture of grains, seeds and finely broken maize. It's here. Now in the summer I will use this around midday just to give them something to do and keep them busy, scratching around in the dirt. And in the winter I will give it about an hour and a half before they go to bed, along with some sunflowers, and that helps them keep them warm over the cold nights. I use about this much in a small cup. Give that to all of them. That's for both groups. And it keeps them busy. Yeah, it's called Basale Lager Gras Mix Chicken Quail Grain. Hello, Albert. Now for a scatter, I also use an omega-3 mix. Now I will show you what that is. Now this is the omega-3 mix. It's got sunflowers in the shells, flaxseed, grain, they look like mung beans, and other seeds. I'm not 100% sure what the other seeds are, to be honest. It's a new one I bought while I was out. It is labelled omega-3 mix. Now I feed this in the mornings, or sometimes I will replace the Basale Lager in the evening for this if I think they'd like a change. I don't feed it every morning. Sometimes I'll replace it with other treats, which I'll tell you about in a moment. At least 4 times a week I'll give them this. Omega-3 is beneficial to chickens. It helps their immune system, amongst other things. That's an entirely different video all of its own. So yeah, that's the omega-3 mix I use. Now, sunflowers. I will use sunflowers sparingly. Hello. Hello, princess. Little girl. Oh, you've heard the sunflower tub. Oh no. Now the sunflowers I use sparingly. Sometimes, like I say, I mix it in with the scatter, but most of the time I use it to coax them into their runs, or to give them a treat when they're being extra cute. I won't give them too many. I try to stick to that. There's a lot of birds here. About that I would give maybe a little bit more if they've been extra good. Yeah, I use that to get them back into the runs if I've not got any live mealworms or anything like that, or any greenery. And they've all heard the sound of sunflowers, haven't you? Eh? Okay, what's next? Now 2 or 3 days a week I will give them live calci worms. That's the larvae of the black soldier fly, or some small mealworms. This does depend if I manage to get some, and as they do free range and find their own bugs and worms, I don't always provide these. I do try and give them 2 or 3 days a week. It also gives them something to do, forage around for. As I have said in a previous video, in the UK it is illegal to feed dried mealworms and insects to poultry, so that's why I provide live ones, though they do look, they are alive, I promise, they're just cold. So next I think I will do the fresh greens. Now for fresh greens, for UK watchers, you will or will not know it is illegal for us to feed kitchen scraps to our chickens. It used to be, if we were a vegan household, it wasn't illegal, but now since last year no household can feed kitchen scraps. The original law was brought in following the foot and mouth outbreak in the early 2000s. They changed it last year to include all households, vegan or not. You can feed fresh produce from your garden, or if you bring bought produce from a shop through your back gate, as long as it doesn't go through your kitchen, it is legal. I know, bizarre, isn't it? Now I do grow my own produce, as you've seen in previous videos. Kale is still growing, and dandelions. I also have spinach and herbs, and also celery at this time of year. What's the matter? It's all over there in the veg patch. And they like parsley. That's what those tubs are for the chickens. And there's also more down by the side of the greenhouse. I do try to make sure they get some greens or fruit at least every other day. I would like to give it every day, but in the winter it's a bit hard. Now, if I do have to buy it from the supermarket, I prepare it in my greenhouse, just because of the previous laws mentioned. In the summer, the fruit and veg is abundant. We have windfall apples, which the chickens love, blackberries, which is one of the favourites, and raspberries, spinach, dandelion leaves, lettuce, herbs, parsley is one of their favourites, or it's one of mine favourites. A few weeds, dandelions. Oh, they love rose petals as well, and they love broccoli flowers, and the broccoli goes over. They love the little yellow flowers on them, or even the little buds before they flower. I think fresh food needs its own video, doesn't it? Now just be careful, because some plants in your garden are poisonous. Do your research before you give any. Foxgloves, especially in the UK, are poisonous to chickens. Rhubarb leaves. So like I say, really do your research before you give any. You're okay with cabbage, broccoli, lettuce. I tend not to feed too much lettuce. I think it makes the poo watery. yeah, they do get at least every other morning in the winter, don't you? And every morning in the summer, especially when the blackberries are out. Oh. You'll find that your own chickens have their favourites. I mean, some people say that their chickens love pumpkin and mine won't touch it. Hey, Bruno. Hey, hey, good boy. You are. Hey, good boy. Mine, like I say, mine do free range. They used to free range all over the garden, and I found that most of the plants they wouldn't touch if they didn't like it. I think they know, although I did have one chicken, one of my large hybrids, they munched on a foxglove and they were really sick. I sent them blind, which was strange, but she was okay. She went on antibiotics and she was okay. Her vision came back in the end. But yeah, just be careful in your garden. So yeah, that's fresh greens. I also make sure mine get grit and oyster shell. It's always available. It's down there in that little tub there. And what's the matter, Fluff? What's the matter? Hey? What's the matter? It's down there, in there. It's grit and oyster shell. And that's always available to them, isn't it? What are you doing? Look, you're putting me off the food video. Crazy chicken. I think he's calling you to go lay an egg, Fluff. I think they've all gone a bit loopy because the sun's coming out. Right, let's see what's next. Right, now for the water. I do use organic apple cider vinegar. That's it there. I have no idea if it works or not. There is no odd evidence as far as I know. But I have used it since having chickens almost 10 years ago. I put 1 tablespoon in the large green drinker. That holds almost 4 litres. And I put 2 teaspoons in Albert's smaller drinker, which holds nearly 3 litres. I just pop some in and add the water, and that's it. If you do use apple cider vinegar, do not use it in metal containers, the galvanised ones, because it reacts with the metal. Always use it in plastic ones. Like I say, always use the organic type. Make sure it has the mother in it. Make sure it's raw and filtered. So again, 1 tablespoon I use in 4 litres and 2 teaspoons in just under 3 litres. And I will give them that once a week. And that's the apple cider vinegar. I also use garlic in the water, mainly in the cooler months, as I like to keep them on pure water in the summer when it's hot, just in case one of the chickens is not keen on anything I put in the water and I know they're drinking. I crush 1 clove and just pop it into the water. So I just crush the clove like that. I leave the skin on as well, and pop it in the water. Yeah, so I put a clove in Albert's drinker as well, and one in the green one in Bruno's drinker. I do it at twice a month for a couple of days each time. Again, there's no hard evidence, but it is said to boost their immunity and prevent internal parasites. I've also done this since owning chickens. If I do notice chicken sneezing, I must admit I do go straight for the garlic water. So yeah, so I put one clove in each drinker at twice a month for a couple of days. Now, two additions I do use in the water when I think it's needed are these two. Now, poultry vitamin boost I go to if I think a chicken is looking lethargic. You can use it for 5 days once a month. It's a rate of 5 ml to 4.5 litres as a general maintenance, or 5 ml to 1 litre for 5 days during periods of stress. That's what I normally use it for. For example, if they're lethargic or going through a severe molt or after medication, that's what I pop in. It's really good and I think it really works. Gives them a good boost. And I use that just when I think it's needed. Then the second one is Respite. Now, I honestly think this works, or it could be a placebo, but if I see a chicken sneezing or looking cold, or I think it's needed, I do reach for this. I use it for 3 days. Instructions are on the bottle. It's there. And I can honestly say I've never had a problem with respiratory illnesses. It also contains garlic. And yeah, that's what I use if I think of a chicken sneezing or even gaping occasionally. If I see it, I think it's breathing a bit funny, I will use this. And I've never had a chicken need antibiotics or anything like that. That's not to say it'll work for you, but that's just what I use. Yeah, they're both really good. That's one Netex and that's Agrivite. Both I always have in my cupboard just in case. So I think that's it, guys. I hope I've been clear enough. I'm going to put a list at the end of the video just to say what I use, and in case I've forgotten anything. Like I say, I'm not sponsored by anything I use. It's all what I've found works for me, and I hope it helps you if you're keeping Seramas for the first time. Bruno, any questions, please pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer anything. And thanks for watching. Thanks everyone. Bye. Bye.